You've just joined the Prepper Broadcasting Network, where we promote self-reliance and independence. The views and opinions expressed are strictly those of the host or their guests. Visit us in the interactive chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com.
Bankland, Federation of Bankland, the Republic of Bankland, United States of Bankland, United Kingdom of Bankland. Parasite, a smart parasite, a real smart parasite, keeps its host alive. Times are bad and times are hard, and minus cash my way is barred and treated like some retard strapped to a suicide credit card. Mr. Banker, can't you see?
Welcome, Golf Strikers. I'm Tom, and this is our weekly libertarian talk show where we discuss not only the problems of today but also solutions. If you have any questions or comments during tonight's broadcast, the call-in number to get on the air is 1-347-202-0228. And after you've connected, remember to press 1 so that our producer can see that you want to be on the air. If you're listening to this show on Blog Talk or any other website that carries our player, you can also listen and join us in on the chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com. If you scroll down about midway on the page, you'll see the chat room. Just enter your username and click connect. And I do invite you to come in and call in and get on the show if you're interested in ideas on how you can be successful in your business or your career, because that's what we're going to be talking about, tips to be successful. And being successful doesn't always mean having a bank full of a lot of cash. It can mean that, but really what success is about achieving the goals that you set out to accomplish. And whether that goal is to earn a degree in school or get the career of your dreams, or maybe that goal is to live off the grid and to be completely independent of the grid and be self-sufficient. Maybe that goal is to be a homesteader. Maybe the goal is to get out of debt. So whatever your goals are, success is based on achieving those goals. So the question to ask yourselves is, what are your goals and have you achieved them? And if you haven't achieved them yet, then what are your plans to achieve your goals? So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. And as I said, if you want to call in, the number is 1-347-202, and then dial 1 to connect with the producer, and then he'll bring you on the air. So our first guest that I'm bringing on is Charles. And Charles is going to talk with us about what his success was in getting out of debt, and among other things that he's done. Thank you for coming on the air, Charles.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very clear.
Coming in good, yes. Well, it started a long ways back. I'm a senior now, and it was back, I was about 30 years old and had come back from overseas and realized that the money was starting to get into trouble. This was back in the days of Nixon, when he closed the gold window and said, no, gold was not going to be a backing for our money anymore. And a lot of things going on. Of course, we didn't understand them. Nobody got any education in money, and we were just out running around. I was about 30 at the time and just happened to get a job with a bank, and Wells Fargo Bank out in California, and got into their library and taught myself about money and what it was all about. So I would suggest, first of all, get an idea of what the money system is and how it works and what's happened to it, and especially recently, how it's there's quite a bit of trouble out there. The interest rates, of course, are very high, and security is probably your first concern, to take care of yourself, security and medical, and get those things taken care of first.
Mm-hmm.
I got into the homesteading then, just sort of an extension of that. Got reading the old books. There was one, Farmers of 40 Centuries, about Chinese and Japanese agriculture and how they had sustained the same land for 4,000 years, farming, over and over, using composting. I thought, how bizarre compared to our new fertilizers and all of our chemical agriculture. So, of course, I got thinking all these directions, and it directly led to Mother Earth News and homesteading and planning, getting started, figuring out how to get sort of self-sufficient, how to take care of myself. It just looked like the world was sort of heading in a direction that it continued in. As we see today, it looks chaotic to me. I don't know how it appears to everyone else, but
yeah, it's a very chaotic world now. What are some of the homesteading books that you read that you think our listeners should read, especially considering that we have the all the fertilizers and the GMO seeds and things like that. I know a lot of people are interested in growing organic food and raising their farm animals organically. So what are some of the books that you've read that stand out as being some of the best books that our listeners should read?
Oh, I read a lot of the classics. I read the my memory, I know my memory's going to jump around on me. As soon as I think of a name, I lose it. I read the classics. There was a fellow over in India, an English agriculturalist, Sir Albert Howard was his name, and he was completely organic farming and doing work like that. And just whatever I could find, I would read. And J. Rodal was the fellow that wrote that original organic gardening text that was such a popular book back then. That was the Bible. Mm-hmm. That was the true Bible, I guess. And Mother Earth News then took up as a monthly supplement.
Mm-hmm.
So we just made plans and decided how to get off get out of the cities mostly. That was the main thing to get
mm-hmm.
where I'm at now. Eventually I can tell you now, sitting here on 5 acres with a spring and all the firewood I want, trees and the quiet and no traffic anywhere around. Of course, I'm retired and older, but it's quite a quite satisfying to get out here in the country. It really is. Mm-hmm. The gardening sort of comes naturally. You get to look around out in the country and you see the gardens. You see the people that are doing the gardening right, and you can, you just have to follow the rules. You keep up with it. You do it right.
Yeah.
Succeed. And put it away.
Well, yeah, and gardening too. That's getting back to success isn't always about money. Success could be just about having a successful garden, and I think that's a lot of people think it's just real easy. You can put some seeds in the dirt and put water on it, and it's going to grow. But there's quite a bit more to gardening than just that, and it can, depending on where you live, could be quite a challenge.
Yeah. Most of it's habit. You develop habits. You get continually do things, and you learn as you go. But it's so hard in a city. City living and living out in the country is just so different. There's so few distractions in the country, and of course, you do put up what you grow out there. My gosh, I've got potatoes out there now, and picking corn, and had a good raspberry crop this year. And any extras you give away or take up to the corner and sell, there's you try to figure out some way to get some kind of cash income. You've got to get that cash income of some kind.
Mhm. So as far as gardening goes, I don't know what part of the country you're in, but what types of food crops have you found that work best where you're at?
Well, I'm in East Tennessee. I'm right in outside of Knoxville, about an hour outside of Knoxville, outside of Lansing, Morgan County, Tennessee, where it's about Zone 6 variable. We don't get a steady rain. In this case, you have to pay attention to irrigation, and the soil is a little bit too sandy. I'm on area that drains a little bit too fast, and you sort of learn that as you go along, and it takes not that much time. You get a routine and do a little bit morning, a little bit in the evening, and if you enjoy it, it's just so much fun anyway doing it. I did flower gardening for a long time too as a kind of side income, and grew perennial plants, sold them at a little nursery I started, and sold vegetables, ran a little farmer's market. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty relaxed. It's a great way of life, and I just can't stress now. It's just the time to do it because the world seems so chaotic out there, economically, and oil. I don't know whether we're going to run out of oil or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. I wonder, what do I do with that oil? Do I buy a mule? Do I get me a pony?
Yeah. So as far as your homesteading goes and gardening, one of the biggest challenges that I hear most people have is being able to produce enough of their own food that they don't have to rely on the grocery store. So my question would be, what percentage of your food are you able to produce on your own, and what percentage of food do you have to get from the grocery store, or are you completely self-sufficient as far as food goes?
I'm sort of out of that loop right now because I'm single. I'm living by myself, and the things I buy from the store are the things that I can't produce. But I've got a cellar down the basement, and my particular favorites are the big squash, the Hubbard squash. In fact, I got a couple of blue ribbons at the fair last year, the Morgan County Fair, for my Hubbard squash that I grew. They're huge, and they're keepers, and you can have squash all winter, Potatoes are easy to keep and grow and keep. You can produce those staples, of course, mess around with greens all year round, early greens, late greens, broccolis, cauliflowers, just sort of work them in whenever you can, and play with greenhouses and however you want to do it. You can produce about whatever percentage you want, or that you can afford, or however you want to do it. You trade with people, folks down the road. They can all kinds of stuff. They can their potatoes and things. They do as much as they can, but I don't. I just put up potatoes with some lime on them. It's.
So I'm wondering, for somebody that doesn't have, maybe somebody who's really good at gardening, but they don't have quite the time or equipment to do the canning. I wonder if it's good for those kind of people to trade the food that they grow with someone who does have the canning equipment and the time to do that. If that, bartering like that can help people in that situation that want to store up for the winter time.
Yeah. I think that's what I do with the neighbors down there, because I can't do a lot. I can't get out there like I used to in garden. It's getting pretty tricky. It's getting hard to walk. My hips are bad, and so I'm sort of slowing down on that respect. But they're going at it completely. She works in raised beds, and again, it depends a lot on what you like to eat. You can put up a lot of cauliflower, you can put up a lot of cabbage, you can put up enough sauerkraut, more than you could ever eat,
Yeah,
I
had, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's the part of it. Yeah, the other part, like firewood and stuff like that takes a portion of time. You sort of divide your time everywhere and start getting your firewood up, and I've got wood heat. I've got a little bit of. I've got all kinds of heat. I had a gas line put in here recently. I'm at the end of a gas line, and so I thought, well, I'm so doggone old, I can't hardly carry that firewood anymore. But I've cut and burned my wood for the last 10 years here, and it's got to be one of the most enjoyable things you ever do. Nothing quite like wood fire. Yeah.
What about livestock? Do you do much livestock? And so what kind of animals do you like to raise?
Well, I don't now. I've got cats and dogs, of course. I used to raise rabbits. I'm quite partial to rabbits. Rabbits supply some of the best eating. Gosh, they were delicious and quite easy. Easy to keep. I had cages. I built my own cages and put them up off the ground. The neighbors, people all around me have animals. Just about everything you can imagine. The chickens and the guineas and the rabbits. And I think if I were to go back, if things get tough like they may, and I consider they could, I would maybe go to some birds, some squab kind of things, pigeons or something I might deal with.
So, have you done pigeons before?
No, I haven't. I've seen some videos, though. I've seen people with them. I think I could do it. I think they might be all right. I remember my mother eating squab in fine restaurants during the war. We would go downtown Columbus, Ohio, to a restaurant during World War II, and she'd order squab. And, of course, I never ate it over the years. But that was...
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think about that often now. During the war, we ate a lot of strange things, all kinds of meat and things that aren't eaten now. I guess it'll go back to that. I don't know. I'm quite fearful of that economic situation. I don't know if you folks are interested in that or not. The situation's frightful. The country is so far in debt, and the banks, I feel the banks are completely corrupt.
Yeah, let's talk about that a bit. I know debt is, it was a big struggle for me. And I'm happy to say that I'm completely out of debt with the exception of a little bit of back taxes that are almost paid off finally. And, and then my mortgage on my house.
Right.
Other than that, at one time I had $30,000 in credit card bills and a pickup payment and all kinds of credit lines, and
yeah.
I'd say not counting the pickup, I was about $60,000 in debt and just drowning in it. And I finally clawed my way out of that. I decided that's the end of it, and I'm going to get to work and start paying this down. I've never filed for bankruptcy. I've never had a repossession. I've never had a foreclosure. I had 2 house payments. I still have 2 house payments because one of them is my house and the other one's my mom's place that I took that house over from her, and we have it up for sale. So, one time it was pretty tough for myself, and I decided I'm not going to be like the people that you hear about that just walk away from their house, and I didn't want the headache that comes with that, and that haunts you the rest of your life too. So I decided, I'm just gonna keep making the house payments, get that caught up, and pay off all the other bills and work harder. And I finally did it. But I'm curious about you and what your situation was, and how you were able to. I don't know if you were already in debt or if you got into debt or if you're just able to never get into debt. I didn't know your story on that, but kind of curious so that our listeners can know what tips they can do to either stay out of debt or to get out of debt if they're already in debt.
Yeah, getting out of debt and staying out of debt is important, very important, because it's just such a difficult thing to do. And you know that. You've been through it. And once you get through it and you think, oh, my gosh. Yeah, I spent years and years. In fact, it held me back on the homesteading completely. It held me back from moving out in the country. There's so many things I couldn't do. A lot of it was, of course, the kids. I had 2 children, and my son's deaf and had some other problems. And it just turned out I was working other jobs and, keeping things paid up and trying to stay out of debt. And I finally got out of debt to retire. I said I wouldn't retire until I got out of debt. And once I got out of debt, I came up here. I bought this place up here, and I still owe on this property. 5 acres and an older house, but the payments are so minimal out in the country, too, on an older property. But the debt is just a frightening thing. The one thing they don't teach in school as we grow up is economics and what debt is about. And there seems to be concerted effort to get us all in debt as much as possible and to get more toys. And if you succumb to that, you get in a trap and you just can't get out of it. And getting out in the country, you don't get out in the country until you retire, I wish I'd been able to come out with my family. And we did get out to the country briefly in the nursery business for a while, which happened in 1982 when that economic crisis finally occurred. It blew up with the 18% interest rates. I was actually paying 24% a year on interest rates on stuff, and trying to start a business. And the business, I kept it going about 5 or 6 years, the nursery business, and then finally gave that up, though, and went back to I got into the reverse osmosis water treatment business and did that for about 20 years before retiring. But had I not been in debt and had I managed my finances better, I would have had a better chance of getting out, getting more secure quicker, for sure.
So, what are some of the best tips that you can give our audience about getting out of debt? Any tricks or techniques that they can follow to help them achieve that goal?
Oh, it's tricky. It's just, it's hard. Maintaining your vehicle. It used to be we could maintain our vehicles. these are subtleties that I've noticed over the years. You know, I used to be able to work on my own car and neighbors, and we'd work on cars and share parts and all kinds of things. But now you can't work on a car yourself. Things you can't do. And so I don't know. Vehicles.
Perhaps
buying an older vehicle that is not as expensive to maintain.
Yeah, I've got that's what a lot of people in my family does. My brother, and he's got an old pickup that he's changing the transmission out in himself, and the engine that they're changing out my mom's pickup truck. Yeah, you can do that with an older vehicle. The newer vehicle is not unless you're a, technician. It's about impossible for the common person to do. I had a 69 Nova that I had when I was in high school, and I was able to work on that thing, do everything on that car by myself.
Yeah. Then religiously, if you maintain the fluids and watch the engine and watch the thing and avoid some of those costs, avoid those breakdowns, that's a definite thing you got to do.
I don't know if you're familiar with Uber, but I've been riding Uber a lot to get around instead of, I talked about this in another show, instead of paying for a taxi, because it's a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient if you're needing a ride in the city. And I mentioned this as a solution for people that might have a car payment, really big car payment that they can't deal with, and they realize it was a mistake. Well, rather than just letting that car go and destroying your credit, I brought up the solution about being a driver for Uber and putting that car to work, because now your car payment becomes a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And you actually get the income, start turning that vehicle into an income-producing machine rather than just a depreciable asset. And so that's a solution that I've come up with for people that have new cars. Personally, I wouldn't buy a new car. I probably will never buy a brand new car. If I do buy a new car, and I don't even own a car, I just have my truck for work, and that's it. But if I were to ever buy a car, it would probably be either an older vehicle if I have time to work on it, or it would be a newer used car that would be paid off. I'd have it paid off. I'm never going to have car payments. I'm either going to either buy an old car that I can just pay cash for right now, or I'm going to save up and buy a nicer car and pay cash for it. But I'll never take out a loan on a car. I did that before. I made that mistake, and I'll never do that again.
Yeah. I'm sort of coming to the end of I'm pushing 200,000 miles on this old van I got that I've been nursing along, and it's worked out well. I highly recommend a van for being out in the country. Gosh, it's just so handy. And I've got an older van that it's still expensive to have repairs, though. But the thing about it, if you can find some way to make some income, however it would be, find one particular way, whether it be by the internet or making canes or wind chimes or something that you could sell somewhere somehow, plants that have a particular incredible bloom on it. You bring those into bloom and sell those right at the time they flower. You can pick up some money here or there. There's ways to make money, but if you have to pay that debt and if you have high expenses, it's hard. Yeah,
speaking of that, we live in northern Idaho, and every summer they have a big bloom up there with picking huckleberries.
Wow.
And I think those things go for like $30 a gallon.
Yeah.
And so if you're really good at that, you can make $20 or $30 in an hour if you find a good patch to pick those berries. And there's buyers up there, so
yeah.
Yeah, depending on where you're at.
Yeah, there's something everywhere. It can be it can be moonshine. It can be anything.
Yeah.
As long as there are people around, you find out what they're interested in, and like working on small engines is a tremendous one right now. Everybody's got, how many small engines do people have? My neighbor, he's sort of a jack of all trades. He grew up in West Virginia and out in the country, and he works on engines and does all kinds of car repairs. And, you know, you look out in the country and you'll see all these old cars in somebody's property or something and think they're all junk cars, but that's their parts supply. That's the local parts department.
Yeah.
Used
well, anyway,
things.
We do have a break to go to, and then after the break, I've got a few questions in the chat room that people want to know due to your financial background they were curious about. So we're going to go to a break, and then I'll ask those questions to you after the break, and then I have another guest coming on shortly after you. So we'll cut to a break real quick.
Great. Okay. I'll be here.
We have exciting news. You can now afford to have your own freeze dryer. That's right. For the first time ever, it's possible to have a freeze dryer in your home. It was invented right here in America by Harvest Right. With this new appliance, you can freeze dry your own food and it will last 25 years. Imagine freeze drying fruit, vegetables, meat, and your own homemade meals. It's as easy to use as a microwave. Learn more about this amazing home freeze dryer at harvestright.com. Again, that's harvestright.com.
TheWonderMill.com, the best grain mills on the market, with the ability to mill several items that many grain mills will not. There are 2 grain mills to choose from. The Wondermill Electric. It's fast and gives you a vast variety of items it can grind. The Wonder Junior hand grain mill can grind a wide variety of things that even some of the most expensive hand grain mills cannot, including oily grains, nuts, and seeds. Learn more about the most resourceful tool that you may ever own. See all the exciting things that Wondermill can do for you and what you eat at thewondermill.com.
Hey, I'm Joe Alton, MD. I'm here to remind you that disasters can happen anytime, anywhere, and you need to know what to do in an emergency. The new 2016 third edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook is the essential guide for when medical help is not on the way. The Survival Medicine Handbook covers every issue you'll face in times of trouble, and it's all in plain English. Get the Survival Medicine Handbook at Amazon.com. I guarantee one day you'll be glad you did.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Tom with Gulfstrike, and we are speaking with Charles about his success in achieving retirement and getting out of debt and living on his homestead. Also want to remind anyone that if you're listening in on the radio or if you are called in, the number to call in is 1-347-202-0228, and don't forget to also press 1 so that the producer will know that you want to be on the air. That way we can get you connected. So anyway, we're talking with Charles, and we have questions from the chat room. One of our guests wanted to know, with your knowledge of financial matters, how would you get ready, if you were to get ready now to thrive after a major economic disaster? What would your recommendations be?
I guess I'm pretty much a hard metal man. I keep silver and gold, and I get away from paper money and paper debt as much as possible. Of course, at my age, I can bury some out back and nowadays watch it increase in value. I say increase in value. It's not perhaps a real increase in value, but anyway, gold and silver I would recommend for financial security.
Mm-hmm.
Silver dollars.
I guess. I guess that kind of answers the other question that the guest asked, is where you would spend your available income to get ready. So that's kind of answers that question, getting those precious metals. I do that myself. I've been investing in mostly silver because I really can't afford much gold, but definitely silver for me. But also, I was curious to know, some of the tips that you might have that led you to retirement. Besides getting out of debt, what are some other tips that you have for our listeners that are looking to be independent and retired?
Well, the first one that immediately comes to mind is your health. Don't be an overdoer. All my life I've been overdoing. I've worn my back out, and I've got back and joint problems. Try to be gentle with yourself and just not overdo it. Just remember, you're going to use that body as long as you can. You can see a lot of old people that don't have the problems, but once those joints and like sciatica, I've got a sciatica condition, and another one on habits, too. I'll mention habits. I used to be an alcohol drinker. I used to drink beer until I got a neuropathy, and I've still got the neuropathy. I quit the beer a long time ago, but still got a neuropathy. So you've got to watch you don't do yourself in having fun.
That's a recommendation I have myself. In another podcast that we did, we were talking about becoming successful in your career, but I think this also applies for retirement, is considering all of the different records that you have in life. For example, your credit record. You got to have a good, clean credit record to get a good job, because a lot of employers look at your credit history. But I think that also applies to being retired. I mean, you want to get out of debt. You don't want to have those debt payments when you're retired. And then your health. I mentioned having a good, maintaining a good medical history, because certain careers you got to pass those physicals to get into certain jobs and careers. Well, the same thing when you're retired. You want to take care of yourself while you're young, so you're not paying the price when you're older.
On and off,
history.
I've been vegetarian on and off too. I've been through spells where I've been more or less complete vegetarian, and then other times lately I've let up on it a bit, but I've kept my weight down that way. Extra weight is extra baggage, and what it costs more. It's just another one of those things. Exercise, and that's one of the good things about gardening and work around a place like this. Everything I do, whether it's hauling in firewood or cutting firewood and stacking it, whatever I do out there, helps keep my weight down and keeps my health up. So.
I wanted to add too. I've got family members that have had run-ins with the law in the past, and that's also something that can haunt you the rest of your life. And that could be a big problem even when you're getting retired. There's some people out there that are just prone to getting speeding tickets and all sorts of fines for all sorts of things. And if you're young, you don't really, you kind of blow that off and you don't think about it. But when it gets to retirement age, not only those things come to haunt you, but if you're in that habit of getting speeding tickets and like that, and you're on a fixed budget, and you pull out and run through a red light or whatever, that $200 or $300 ticket or however much it is, that's totally unexpected. And so it's about avoiding the unexpected expenses.
You're right. Yeah, I remember the $40 ticket I got cruising through a stop sign one time. That was my last ticket. I said no more, And you just have to make decisions like that. Yeah, you can't get tickets and drink and drive and stuff like that. Not if you're going to live to be 60 or 70 or want to do anything with your life. You're better off just sort of getting some habits. It's all about habits, a lot of it, I think, in the end. Oh, I wanted to mention a name. That this fellow that Chris Hedges, that has a couple of videos on now. He is the most interesting person today as far as what is going on in the world today. If your readers, listeners there would remember that name, Chris Hedges. Chris Hedges. He's got some very interesting documentary videos on the internet, and he's at the forefront of what I think is going to occur eventually. There will be a confrontation between the corrupt economic establishment and the people, because we're going to all be broke. There's no jobs left.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to bring on our other guest here. You're welcome to continue listening in.
Yes, I will. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So we're going to bring on G-Man. G-Man wanted to talk a little bit about his successes and what he's got going on now. Are you there, G-Man? Well, no, I don't know if he dropped out.
I'm sorry, Tom. Did you?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I was answering another line and came in at the moment there. I assume you were inviting me on, huh?
Yes. You said you had some things you wanted to talk about.
Well, yeah, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, I noticed, some of the people in the chat room, and of course with Purple Broadcasting, I think our average age is somewhere in the 50s probably, and I'm 57 myself, and I look at the chat room and what people are talking about, and going along with your topic tonight, ethics and work and making some extra income and what have you, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I've learned in my life, and I think one is you've got to enjoy what you do. I mean, a big amount of money doesn't mean a whole lot if you're not having a good time making it, especially if you spend 20 or 25 years and it's just not, you're just not having a good time. These last 5 or 6 years, I think I've worked harder, longer hours for less money than I ever have in my life, but I've never enjoyed myself so much. So, that's a very big thing for me, and I think it's important for anybody. No matter what you're making, if you're surviving, be happy with what you're doing. Enjoy your life. Enjoy what you're doing. So that's kind of one of the points that I think is important for anybody. Another comment I wanted to make in regards to what Charlie mentioned about, as far as making a little extra money, these little things that maybe could make you a little extra money, if you enjoy it enough, if you love doing it enough, and work at it, it may be something that you could make a lot of extra money. If you apply, if you make that a goal in whatever it's doing, that hobby or that craft or that backyard gardening, and turning it into a Saturday market and being the best at the Saturday market, whatever it may be. Like I said, this that I've been doing for the last 5 years, it has been blood, sweat, but not tears. It's been smiles. And now some big things are opening up for me because those around me are seeing what it means to me and how much I enjoy what I do. So the opportunities seem to open up. You know, you live your life to your fullest. You be happy with what you do, or you find something else to do and be happy with that. And those around you are going to see it. And things tend to happen. And maybe it won't happen tomorrow or next year or maybe in 5 years, but it'll happen. And if it don't happen, you'll damn sure be happy with yourself. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents.
One of the things I've always been bringing up is that you're among the first people to really blaze the trail of internet radio. You got into doing that when the internet radio and podcasting and all that was still pretty new to the web, and so you've come a long way to building it up from what it originally was. And what I've always been saying is it won't be long in terrestrial radio. The FM and AM stations are going to be gone. I can't remember the last time. It's been so long since I've listened to FM radio. Right now I have the XM satellite radio, and that's what I listen to in the truck. I don't listen to the FM radio because I keep losing the station all the time, but the XM radio has proven to be a lot better. And what I keep telling people, because I'm watching the trends and I see how things are going, is it's going to go to internet radio and downloads because, people don't like the, even with the satellite radio, you get dead spots and you lose the signal and stuff, and then there's the monthly fee and all that. I think people are going to be going to like Wi-Fi and internet radio, especially as the data plans. I know if you're living in at home or at work and you've got the unlimited data plan, you can listen to internet radio all day long. For people that are traveling, of course you have the data plans on their cell provider have a limit, but it's not going to be long, and that is going to be eventually have unlimited plans, even for the cellular plans.
Yeah, well,
and when that happens,
not only that, but Peaches Ozzy in the chat room mentioned ham radio, and that's something that we're looking at in the near future too. Is broadcasting. See, we're about to start broadcasting also via satellite, but ham radio, that's down the road. That's very expensive to get started, so it may be down the road a little ways, but ham radio is definitely an avenue that we're looking for. And again, because of what Charlie had mentioned earlier, who knows where we're heading or what's going to happen, but not just politically or some new war or anything like that, but any kind of disaster that takes out the power grid or whatever else. Ham radio could be a very, very big thing. A very big potential. And there's a hobby that could be also turned into a few extra dollars one way or another. And I don't want to take up any more time because I know you have another caller in the queue, Tom, so thanks for letting me come on for a moment.
Oh, we do have another caller in the quew?
You have Bill in the queue.
I don't see, maybe I need to refresh the screen, but I don't see it yet. Go ahead and bring Bill on.
All right.
Am I still on here, Tom?
You're on there, Charlie, and Bill, if you're still with us, you're on live right now also.
Okay. You did bring to mind a couple of things. I raised cooking herbs for a while and sold them to restaurants. That was an interesting one. Get yourself a big plastic bag full of basil leaves and take them down and sell them for $15, $16 a pound at the time. Of course, that was 30 years ago. But there's, and that off-grid power technology and stuff, boy, that'd be a place to learn and earn.
So, do we still have Bill in the air?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right, Charles. I really appreciate it. Really great ideas. You can keep listening if you want. We got about 8 minutes left or so, and I want to get Bill's thoughts on the air. Are you there, Bill?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
I forgot to add my Aladdin heater that I have. I used it for 9 days during an ice storm to use it for heat the house and also to cook on.
Uh-huh.
Cooked everything in the fridge that we could, and we gave the rest of it away to people who had power. But we lost power and water. We lost water for 3 days. But anyway, I grew up on a farm part-time in South Mississippi, my grandparents' farm, and I stayed there summers. I learned how to hunt and to work on a farm. It was a subsistence-type farm. A lot of farm animals, cattle, horses, mules, chickens, whatnot. And I was just a farm kid during those summers. I came back to school each year and then went back every summer, also in Christmas and other vacations. I spent 2 years in the Army and went to Korea for 10 months and came home to graduate school. And I worked for the Employment Service in a community college for 21 years and then retired disabled when I was 47. I had neurological disease and some others that has completely disabled me now. VA is taking care of me, but I learned to subsist. I learned how to camp in the Boy Scouts, and even after the Boy Scouts, we camped on the river on the sandbars at night. In tents, we had our fires, and we cooked out there as well. And I camped out in Wyoming when I was back in the 70s, and for about 30 years. And lately, this year 2000 to 16, I've been out there maybe 3 times because I had trouble driving and walking up and down hills in Wyoming. And I got to the point where I couldn't do that at all. So I'm homebound now, but I've got everything here in my house and shop and garage to take care of me for a long time, plus what I put down on the chat board. I'm constantly looking for something else I need to learn how to do. My wife is disabled, and I got a disabled daughter living with us, but we're in the Delta here where there's plenty of food grown. So I don't see a problem with that if we had a complete breakdown in a financial and political situation. So I'm not worried about it. I don't worry about anything anymore. Nothing bothers me. And that may be a fault, but I keep looking for anything else I need to do. I know how to fly an airplane, but I'm not qualified anymore because of failed my physical. And I drive with hand controls. I used to know how to work on cars and tune them up and all that, but I can't do that anymore. And I had a tiller from a garden, but it finally quit. Someone gave it to me, and I had to rebuild the carburetor and other parts to get it running. And I gave it away to somebody who knew how to fix it for good. But we used a shovel, hose. I had 2 parts of my backyard, hose fenced off to keep the dogs out of the garden. But we still have a small plot for gardening. My wife does all that. I can't do it anymore, but I know what to do. I could get out there, but I have to use a walker, and it still hurts me to walk like that. I don't know what else to tell you. Just tell people to learn how to do things, how to do without, how to store anything useful, whether it be scrap wood or copper wire, anything that can be used as tools, rope, string, anything you look around, sharp knives, and any kind of hand tools you need. I got a pellet rifle, which I haven't fired yet, and I've got 11 ammo boxes full of ammo, and I won't tell you how many guns I have because I buy and sell them, and the value goes up and down. But our shooting range is my extra income, which is not very much compared to how much time we put into it. My partner and I have been operating that since 2001. 142 acres, most of it in woods for any kind of wood we might need, firewood, cooking, building. We got 10 acres for the firing range and 10 acres of soybeans. So we're doing that too. But I can't physically there much anymore. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, with your experience farming and raising animals, for somebody just starting out with their own homestead that want to get into raising livestock, what would be the best animals for them to start with, and some tips that you might have for them to get started and learn how to do it?
A good start for a family of, say, 5 would be about 20 acres, maybe 25. You'll need a pond that will hold water. The animals, chickens are okay if you let them roam. They'll find bugs and whatever to eat, but you have to feed them. That means growing corn, ground up corn for them, and you have to know how to raise chickens. They can get sick with cholera and all die. You got to know how to treat that. As far as bigger livestock, a few cows for maybe milk cows, anything from meat, maybe goats, maybe some steers. I don't know what else. You might want a draft horse or a mule in case you wanted to plow the ground in a bigger area, but all of that 20 or 25 acres needs to be in operation, growing food or growing trees. You have to be self-sufficient, and it has to be fenced to keep animals out and keep your animals in.
Yes.
You have to have good neighbors, too, somebody you can trust.
Yes.
It would be good to have at least a crystal radio operating if you don't have something else. And they're easy to make if you just look at the simple direction for them. I made them since I was a kid. You can make them for AM radio, even FM, CB, and shortwave if you've got a long enough antenna that's high enough. I've done that too. And I've been involved in shortwave radio for a very, very long time. Ham radio has just been the last 5 years or so when I had plenty of time to do that. I've got a VOM meter. I can test circuits and batteries and resistance. I've got a small electric solar cell, but I'll get a bigger one.
I hate to cut you off there, Bill. We have just hit a hard break at the end of the show.
Okay.
So I want to thank you guys for coming on. I want to thank you everyone for listening in. It's a great show. Appreciate your opinions.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too.
Thank you.
Federation of Bankland, the Republic of Bankland, United States of Bankland, United Kingdom of Bankland. Parasite, a smart parasite, a real smart parasite, keeps it close to